Hi, kindergarten. With Easter fast approaching and springtime around, I was thinking of animals that are being born during this time of year, like chicks, baby birds, rabbits, and baby ducks. So I found one of my very favorite books to read to you called The Little Duck. I used to read this to my children when they were little, so you're going to see a little bit of wear and tear on it from it being very loved. Now just take a peek at this book and tell me whether you think it is nonfiction or fiction. Well, I see a real photograph, so obviously this is about something real, so it's nonfiction. And if I were to do a book preview, you would see a bunch of photographs. Yes, this is a nonfiction story about a little duck named Henry and how he grows up. So before I begin this book, I want you to be thinking while you're listening to the story, because we're also going to be doing informative writings in our virtual learning. And that means we're going to be writing facts about real things and animals. So I made a little chart here for you to stick in your brain while I read to you. It's a can have R chart. And I wrote the title of what we're reading about, ducks. What ducks can do, what ducks have, and what ducks are. I want you to just be thinking. You probably know some things to put there already. See if this book gives you more ideas. Okay. The author of this book is Judy Dunn, and there's not an illustrator, it's a photographer. Her name is Phoebe Dunn. One morning in early spring, a little boy was fishing in the pond near his farm. Again and again, he threw out his line and pulled it in. At last, he caught a fish. The boy gathered his things to go home. Suddenly, he saw something nestled in the tall grass at the pond's edge. It was an egg, a duck's egg. The little boy carried the egg home with him. Now, what would you do if you found an egg with no mom to take care of it? He placed the egg in an incubator so it would keep warm. That's what it looks like, an incubator. Every day, the boy turned the egg over as gently as a mother duck. Finally, after 28 days of waiting and watching, the boy heard something peeping and pecking inside the egg. The shell cracked and broke open. Henry, the little duck, was hatched. And yes, do you see the little boy's hands in there helping him? No. The duck has to build its own strength to come out of that egg, and you can't help it. That would actually not be good for its muscles. Henry did not look at all like the little boy thought he should. His feathers were wet, and they stuck to his body. His feet were enormous. The little duck stood up on his big orange feet. He tried to take a few small steps. Then he stretched his spindly wings and wiggled them as fast as he could. He began to get dry and fluffy. Getting hatched is hard work. Henry was tired. He put his head down beside his empty shell and went to sleep. When Henry woke up, his fluffy yellow down was completely dry. Now he looked like a duck. And there he is sleeping. Did you see what they called this on him? They aren't feathers. They're calling them down. Well, they're down feathers. They don't look like what you think of feathers. They look more fluffy, like fur. They're soft. After a few days, the boy placed him into a wading pool. It was time for the little duck's first swim. Henry tried hard to paddle, but the more he paddled, the deeper he sank. Ducks cannot float without oil on their feathers. Baby ducks usually get this oil from their mother's feathers when she sits in the nest with them. But Henry's mother was an incubator. He would have to wait until his own oil glands began to work before he tried to swim again. So he's got to wait for those oil glands to kick in. I have a connection I'm thinking of right now. I'm gonna have to share it. That when we take our crayons and we draw with our crayons on paper, make a picture, and then have you ever tried to take watercolor and paint over the crayons, like the coloring, and you know how the water will not stick, it kind of beads up because of the oil and the wax on the crayon. So it kind of kicks off the water, kind of like how it works with the duck and the oil on its feathers. The boy quickly scooped Henry up from the bottom of the pool and wrapped him in a towel. Henry was shivering and sputtering. Okay, this reminds me of my children when they were babies and I would get them out of the bathtub. The boy was afraid he would catch cold, so he set the hairdryer on warm and he dried Henry's feathers in no time. When the little duck was dry again, he found a cozy resting place on the broad back of the family dog. Together they dozed in the sunshine. Are you thinking that must be a really kind dog to let this little duck climb on his back and sleep? Through the summer, Henry kept growing. The boy fed him cracked corn and duck mash. The more Henry ate, the bigger he grew. One day, as Henry was standing beside a puddle, his reflection showed something very different. See? His reflection showed stiff white feathers growing over his yellow down. Suddenly, Henry's voice began to do something new. While he was small, peep, peep was all he said, but now strange noises came out when he opened his beak. Peep, peep, squawk. Peep, quawk. Peep, quack, quack, quack. Henry was growing up. Do you see his wings? Do you think you could fly with those wings? They've got some growing to do, don't they? During the summer, Henry followed the boy all around the farm. It's a lot of space for a little duck to wander around. Sometimes the boy was busy. Then Henry looked for other friends. One day, he waddled down the hill and into the barnyard. He quacked at the hen, but the hen did not care about ducks. Then he quacked at the rabbit. The rabbit listened, but did not say anything. When Henry quacked at the goat leaned over and butted him. Finally, Henry went back home. No luck with the animals, no friends there. Summer turned into autumn, and the boy had to go to school. Without anyone to play with, Henry had nothing to do all day. He tried to swim in his blue plastic pool, but the pool had become too small for Henry. Check out those wings now. They don't look so small anymore, do they? On weekends, the boy stayed home. Then Henry was happy. He had a playmate. And sometimes on warm winter days when the boy was away, his grandfather would rock Henry on the porch. But still, Henry seemed lonely. He needed a special friend. The little duck was almost grown up. He needs a little animal buddy, doesn't he? Well, one bright morning in early spring, back to the spring again. Remember when Henry was born? It was spring. So how old is Henry? 1 year old. Henry waddled off the porch. He was a handsome grown-up duck now, with a beautiful curled feather at the tip of his tail. Henry walked straight down the hill, past the barnyard, and across the meadow. There he goes. See his little curl? Suddenly Henry stopped. He opened his beak in a loud quack. Before him was a wide, deep pool of water, much wider and deeper than his blue plastic pool at home. Henry had found, you guessed it, the pond. And in the middle of the pond, spreading its wings, was the first duck that Henry had ever seen. So there's Henry, and there's who he found in the middle of the pond. Look at that. Imagine how excited he must be right now. As fast as he could, Henry paddled out to meet the new duck. It looked almost exactly like Henry, but it did not have that special curl at the tip of its tail. The duck was a girl. She quacked at Henry. Henry had found his special friend at last. Can you figure out which one is Henry? See the little curl right there? That's Henry. Soon Henry and his friend had an egg of their own nestled in the tall grass beside the pond. That's the same way the book started, isn't it? But this little egg, they're probably going to take care of. Hopefully not. A little boy has to take care of it. Hopefully they can. Okay, so did you think about some things that ducks can do, that they have, and some things that ducks are? Let's see. Ducks can swim. Let's see. Ducks have feathers. And ducks are birds. So now if I wanted to turn this into my own writing, I could take these words and put them into a sentence. Ducks can swim. Ducks have feathers. Ducks are birds. So I would love for you to go make your own can, have, are chart on a piece of paper like I did. You can do it about ducks. You can write different things that I wrote, or you can do it about some other kind of animals. Maybe you can look something up on Pebble Go. We have the password on our Kinder website. Look it up and find something new out and introduce it to your classmates and your teacher. I hope you have fun doing this, and I can't wait to see you soon. Bye.